So today we have Natasha Curtis with Spring Valley Living Center to talk to us about her career in that job at Spring Valley. Thank you for joining us today, Natasha.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes, can you tell us what job it is you have there?
So I am a bookkeeper for Spring Valley Living, which is actually not just a nursing home. We have a nursing home, assisted living, memory care, home health, and therapy programs all within one building. So as the bookkeeper, it's not just me doing accounting. I definitely have a whole range of things. I do all of the private pay billing. So anyone who pays private pay, I get to send them bills, which makes me not their favorite person. And with that is also like collection calls, things like that. I pay all the bills. So I do accounts payable for the entire facility. I do obviously a lot of the book work. Um, Getting ready for an audit. We have a yearly audit. We actually just had it last week. So I've had some longer hours and more stress the last couple weeks for that. I also do IT within the building. I run our phone system and just a lot of random stuff.
And
So I'm
when
kind of like
you,
the jack of all trades there.
yeah, and when you talk about the number of operations in that facility, are you doing bookkeeping and those jobs for all of the wings, or is it for one specific wing?
All of them.
All of them.
Yep.
And how long have you been in this role?
So I've been in this role for 4 years, but I've been with the company for 10. So I started out as administrative assistant. And, slowly as I was there and getting trusted with more, they started giving me bookkeeping stuff and realized that I basically I knew our books back and forward. I know our codes backwards, forwards. I know all of that stuff. So they actually gave me a new position and then hired someone to take my old one. And basically, we have an accountant and then we have me.
And so how are you different than an accountant?
So, for one, I do not have the accounting degree.
Okay.
So, I have an administrative assistant degree and kind of just fell into the bookkeeping just from I got my foot in the door and I knew my job. I learned I was always willing to take on more than what I was given. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Let me figure it out. Let me try to help you and I will figure it out. And so she balances the checkbooks, things like that. But now she's been gone for several months with COVID and everything. So I've actually been able to do that. So there really isn't a lot of difference. It's just she does this section, I do this section. And then together we get everything that we need.
And do you feel that an accounting degree would be needed for your job that you're doing with the bookkeeping part?
If I ever left this job, I would not be able to be a bookkeeper anywhere else because I do not have that degree. So basically, for me, I got very lucky. I got my foot in the door and I got put into this position with a lot of hard work and years of being there. But if I ever wanted to leave, there's no way I'm walking into another company for even close to the amount of pay and have the same position. So I would basically have to start over as administrative assistant. So I'm kind of stuck without the degree. So yes, if you wanted to get into this position, your best bet would be to get an accounting degree.
And when you say looking at other positions, I assume that means other nursing homes have similar positions that you could just slide into if you were qualified.
Or even if I wanted to branch out to a completely different field,
Oh, okay.
Say there was a position closer to home. I'm not going to be qualified for that position over an accountant. Granted, I may have more experience, but companies like the degrees nowadays.
Okay. But you're also in a nursing facility. You're also not a CNA or an LPN or RN, correct?
Yep,
So,
I actually started out in high school as a CNA, and I've always worked in human services with people with disabilities, things like that. So it was kind of a natural for me to be able to go in there because I was comfortable working with the geriatric patients, and I was comfortable working with the people that are there. And I understood what it was like to be a CNA and things like that. And I still get to communicate with our residents. I still get to help them without actually having to get up and personal with their bodies and stuff. And I enjoy that a lot, being able to still have that relationship with them without having to be intimate with knowledge of themselves, you know.
So could you describe for us what an average day might look like, since you described some of that interaction with the people, but also some book work? What would an average day look like for us?
So when I go in, you know, I check my emails. Beginning of the month, I would spend my first 2 days completely billing out. So I would be sending out bills for home health, the nursing home, the apartments. Our memory care unit is actually opening in within the next 10 days. So then that will be added in there as well. So I would do that. I do we do different for our auditors, and just for our CEO, we do different revenue testing, making sure what's in our books is what's also coming off the computer, just to make sure, like, what are we not capturing? What's missing? Is there a mistake somewhere that needs to be fixed? So I do a lot of time with revenue testing. We have a resident trust account, which means they have basically I have a checkbook that has spending money for them. So if they get their haircut, I pay for it out of that account versus them having to deal with money or anything like that. Um, I deal with a lot of families calling in, having questions. You know, I get people upset with bills, obviously, things like that. And for the assisted living, I actually have a lot of the people I work with will come to the office to talk to me because they do their own finances. And from there, I've, you know, built relationships. If I see someone in the hall, we stop and talk to them. We say hi to them. We don't ignore them. If I stood in the hallway and talked to a resident for an hour, my boss would be happy, not upset that I missed an hour of work, because that is what we're truly there to do, is to serve our people. So if they need to talk, especially now with COVID, if they just need someone to talk to, we talk to them. You know, if they're upset about something, we talk to them. We help them. You know, if I can't help them, I find someone who can. So because of my previous position as an administrative assistant, I was out with them. So I built a lot of relationships with them because I was always accessible to them. Now that I'm in the office, I still have a few that I've known since then that will come and check in with me. How are your kids? Things like that. And I'll ask them how their grandkids are. So it's definitely still resident focused is a big part of it. You know, if they have a problem with a bill for, say, Olmsted Medical Center, or, you know, Mayo Clinic, I can help them with that. I help them because they might not be comfortable being on the phone and knowing what to ask, things like that. So I will assist them with that as well. So, and then I just have a lot of little things, I guess, I do all the time. You know, I deal with long-term care insurance. So I actually spend a lot of time on the phone because, you know, they don't want to pay, but they need to pay. So it's a lot of arguing with that.
What motivates you to stay in this job and continue working there?
So this company so I started out as administrative assistant 3 days a week. So I was part-time. And after a while, you know, when I started, they promised me full-time soon, but the woman that was working just decided she wasn't going to retire. And she was in her 80s, but she was just going to stay there. And so there was a position open in the other part of the building. So I asked to apply for that because I needed full-time. Well, they said, absolutely not. We're going to give you full time. And they created another position for me until this woman retired. This company has gone to bat for me, basically. They have, if I have a sick child, it's not a question, can I leave? It's, you know, hey, I need to go do this. Okay. You know, my boss is amazing. Like, it's very family oriented. And how can I not have pride in a job in a place that has pride in me, you know, that has worked with me and helped me and I mean, they gave me this position that they could have hired someone else for. They believed in me. So that definitely is a big part of it. I almost feel like I owe them because they've been so great with me. I'm not just a number. And then the other part is I still get to work with, in the human services field. I still get to talk to residents. I've walked in the door in the morning and broke down crying because I lost someone that I had been so attached to. And you wouldn't think, I mean, I work in an office, but you do really build those relationships with your residents. You do become attached, and you hear the stories and everything. And so, I mean, there's definitely downfall of losing people, but I still like just working with them and being with them. I've done the CNA and all that, and I knew I wasn't a lifer. My mom is 60 years old. She's still a CNA. She's a lifer, and that's fine. I was not, but I like that I'm able to still be there without having to do the other part of it.
Okay. Now I have 16 and 17-year-olds that are going to be watching this. So as they're in high school and they're deciding, just like you said, do I want to be a CNA or do I want to be more of a bookkeeper, accountant type person? What classes would you suggest to help them figure out their path?
So definitely math, obviously. Here's the thing. Don't Just because you don't like math now, don't automatically say I'm never doing a math thing. Guess what? I hate math. It is most of my job and I hate math. And when I took my college entrance, I wasn't college level math. I've never been good at math, but after doing it, and it's really a lot of it with a bookkeeper, a lot of it is common sense. And I find that I actually like it. If I get data and a blank Excel spreadsheet, I am happy. Like that is like the best day ever because I get to create this and find a way to make the data come out in a way that other people will understand it. So definitely you need computer skills. Math is a positive, and give it a chance. I know there's accounting classes in some schools. I took one when I was in high school and I absolutely hated it. So it's still funny that this is now what I do for a living. Communication, definitely finding a way. So I communicate with some very angry people sometimes. And obviously I need to stay calm. I deal with confused people. Like, why is this like that? What is going on here? I don't understand it. So I need to find ways to communicate that with them without trying to be condescending or, you know, to be on their level.
Right.
So definitely communication. Now I became a CNA in high school, and I took a separate CNA class at that, I started working with local nursing home and took a CNA class, and a lot of it was just communication, learning to, I had been around my grandparents. I've never really been around an entire facility full of geriatric patients. I was scared. I really was, but you just need to communicate and realize that these people, they're someone else's grandma and grandpa. They really are. And they deserve the best care, just like if it was your grandma and grandpa in there. And the stories they have are amazing. I have one that, as far as okay, this is a retired lady who lives in this facility. She was a surgical tech and for Mayo Clinic, and some of the surgery she's been on is absolutely amazing. To hear some of these stories, and you forget that, some of these people had really big careers. You have veterans, you have people with these stories with, talents that you never realized. So you definitely need to communicate, and just because you don't feel comfortable at first doesn't mean it's something you shouldn't try, because you learn and you can get comfortable with it. I think within a month of working as a CNA in the nursing home, I was perfectly comfortable with everything. It's daunting at first, but just because you're scared or a little uncomfortable at first, don't let that stop you from trying something.
All right. Any final words? I think what you just said was a real powerful statement, but any final words to end the session with for these kids today?
So when I graduated high school, I decided to take a gap year. And I'm going to absolutely recommend not to do that. You know, where I am today took a lot of work and a lot of years. I went to school while working full time with a toddler while caring for a dying parent. And that is not the ideal. I would like a better degree. I would like a bigger degree than what I have, but that was not an option at the time because I took that gap year because, you know, what kid doesn't want to? I'm an adult now, I can go live, but don't just go to school, get it done. Like while you're still motivated out of high school, just go and get it done because if circumstances happen and how many people take that time off and don't go back. So like I have a 15-year-old, I tell her, I want you right out of high school to keep going with your education because I, yes, my situation ended up fine at the end, but it was a lot of years of struggle and a lot of years away from my child. And it was hard. So do the work right now, do the work right after high school. Just do the work because it's going to make your life in the end easier and better because you have that many more years to grow your career.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Natasha.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.